Hello, you guys, and welcome to today's lesson on evaluating numerical and variable expressions. Before we get going any further, please make sure you have a piece of paper out and something to write with. And remember that I want all of you to turn in your assignment. Sorry, I'm just looking for a piece of paper the same way. Okay, so you are going to take your paper and you are going to fold it in half lengthwise, and then you are going to work down the columns. Okay, so you'll put your name on the top left column, and you'll put the assignment or the lesson on the top right column. Okay, and then remember, everything that you do is going to get submitted to the assignment box. That's how you get credit for this class. And so as you're watching this video, make sure that you are following along with me and doing what I ask you to do so that you can get credit. So with that said, we are going to go ahead and get started. I think one of the trickiest things about math is the vocabulary. And so as we go through this Math Essentials class, Miss Kohler and I want to try and give you guys a really good understanding of the different vocabulary that's used in math. Um, and we want you to be able to apply that when you're doing the math. So the first word that we want to talk about is evaluate. Okay, so go ahead and write this word on your piece of paper, and then I want you to write the definition. So evaluate means to figure out the answer if. And I'm going to show you an example of that in just a second. So for now, write down the word evaluate and then figure out the answer if. The next thing that I want you to write down is a numerical expression. A numerical expression is a math sentence that includes numbers and operation symbols. Expressions do not have equal signs. Okay, so that's a really important thing to remember. When you are dealing with algebraic or numerical expressions, there are no equal signs. And I'm going to actually make a little note of that for you here. No equal signs. Okay, equations have equal signs, expressions have no equal signs. Okay, the next one I want you to write down is a variable. And in math, we just use a variable to stand in for something that we don't know. And typically we use an alphabet letter, but we could use something else if we wanted to. Sometimes people might use different symbols or shapes, or basically you can have anything stand in for something that you don't know. But in math, you're typically going to see X, Y, A, B, C. Okay, these are the most common variables that we use. The next one that I want you to have down is variable expression. And this is a math sentence that includes numbers, variables, and operation symbols. Okay, so operation symbols just means addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. These would be operation symbols. Okay, so if it's a variable expression, it's a math sentence that has numbers, variables, operation symbols. Remember, expressions do not have equal signs. Okay, the last thing that we want to talk about as far as vocabulary goes is order of operations. The order of operations are the rules that need to be followed when we evaluate a numerical or variable expression. Okay, so you guys probably learned the order of operations when you were in probably 4th grade. You may have learned it as please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. But basically, the order of operations gives us an order to follow so that we're all following the same order so that we come up with the same answer to the math problem. Okay, so when we have an expression and we are simplifying it or evaluating it, we need to make sure that we always take care of what is in parentheses first. Okay, so we always do whatever's in parentheses first. Then we take care of any exponents. Okay, remember an exponent is the power. So if I have 5 raised to the second power, the 2 would be considered the exponent. And an exponent tells us how many times we multiply this base by itself. Okay, so if we have an exponent of 2, that is not 5 times 2. That means that 5 is going to get multiplied by itself twice. So 5 to the second power is 5 times 5. Let's look at a few more examples of exponents. Let's say you have 2 to the third power. Okay, the 2 is our base, the 3 is our power, or the exponent. The exponent tells us how many times we're going to multiply the base by itself. So 2 to the third power is really 2 times 2 times 2. Okay, it's 2 multiplied by itself 3 times. So 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. So 2 to the third power would be 8. Let's say we have 3 to the second power. A big mistake that students make is they multiply the base with the power instead of taking the power and multiplying the base by itself that many times. So 3 to the second power is not 3 times 2. 3 to the second power is 3 times 3. It's 3 multiplied by itself twice. Okay, and 3 times 3 is 9. So let's go back here to our order of operations. So parentheses. We always do anything that's in parentheses first. Then we take care of exponents. The next thing that we do is all of the multiplications or divisions. And then we do all of the additions or subtractions. Something that you need to remember is when you get to multiplication and or division or addition and or subtraction, you do whatever comes, that should have an S there, whatever comes first in the problem. You work left to right. So this is really important. You may need to do division before multiplication, or you may need to do subtraction before addition. Okay, so let's say you have a numerical expression that you're simplifying. So let's say you have 5 minus 6 plus 2. Okay, if we're going to follow the order of operations to simplify this, we don't have any parentheses, we don't have any exponents, we don't have any multiplications or divisions, but we do have a subtraction and an addition. And because we're left with only addition and subtraction, we're going to work left to right. So if subtraction comes first in our problem, we do the subtraction first. Okay, so we're going to do this first. 5 minus 6 is -1. And then we do the addition. So 5 minus 6 is -1. And -1 plus 2 is 1. Okay, let's look at another example of that. Let's say we have 4 minus 2 plus 3 minus 6. Okay, so when you look at this numerical expression, you can see we only have subtraction and addition left. So we don't do the addition first. What we do is we start at the left of our problem and we're going to work right, doing all of the additions and subtractions as they come to us. So 4 minus 2 would be 2. 2 plus 3 would be 5. And then 5 minus 6 is a -1. Okay, and the same thing works with multiplication and division. Once you get down to just multiplication or division, you do whatever comes first in the problem. Sometimes you do division first, and sometimes you do multiplication first. Okay, so here's the order of operations. We do parentheses, exponents, all divisions and multiplications, working left to right, and all subtractions and additions, working left to right. Okay, so we are going to practice solving a couple of numerical expressions, and then we will, evaluating a couple of numerical expressions, and then we will evaluate some algebraic expressions, and then you guys will be ready for your quiz. So for A, we have 15 minus 2 times 3 plus 1. So this is a numerical expression. You can see that there are just numbers and operations, okay? Whenever we are evaluating numerical expression, we need to follow the order of operations. So we need to do parentheses first, then exponents, then all divisions and multiplications working left to right, and then all subtractions and additions working left to right, whatever comes first in the problem. Okay, so as we look at this one, we have 15 subtract 2 times by 3 plus 1. Okay, so we need to take care of this multiplication before we do the subtraction addition. So 2 times 3 is 6. So now we have 15 subtract 6 plus 1. We only have addition and subtraction left, so we're going to start at the left of our problem, and we're going to work right. So 15 minus 6 is 9. Okay, we've got 15 minus 6, which is 9, and then 9 plus 1, which is 10. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the next one, B. For this one, we have 12 minus 3 raised to the second power. Notice we have an exponent here, plus 10 divided by 2. So there are no parentheses, but there are exponents. So we need to evaluate the exponents before we do the multiplications and divisions and the additions and subtractions. So 3 to the second power. Remember, that means 3 times itself twice, okay? 3 to the second power is 9. Okay, so now we just took care of this. So then we have 12 minus 9 plus 10 divided by 2. The next thing that we do is all of our multiplications and divisions, okay? We do all of those before we do our additions and subtractions. So because we have a division right here, 10 divided by 2 is 5. We're going to take care of that next. So now we have 12 minus 9 plus 5. At this point, we only have subtraction and addition left. So we work left to right. 12 minus 9 is 3. 3 plus 5 is 8. Okay, so when we evaluate this numerical expression, we get 8. Let's go ahead and try an algebraic expression. Okay, so remember, an algebraic expression is just a math sentence. And to evaluate, we figure out the answer if. So in these instructions, it says, evaluate the expression for the given value of the variables. So evaluate the expression. This is the expression, okay? Whenever you have a number next to a variable in algebra, that is implied multiplication. So 2b to the third power, that would read as 2 times by b to the third power. So if we want to evaluate this, we're going to figure out the answer to 2 times b raised to the third power if the b is 5. Okay, so let's go ahead and plug that in. Let's plug 5 in for the b. So we write this expression just like it is, 2 times by, instead of the b, we're going to plug in 5, and then that 5 needs to be raised to the third power. Whenever we evaluate, we follow order of operations, parentheses, exponents, multiplications, divisions, additions, subtractions, okay? That's the order that we need to do this in. We don't have any parentheses, but we do have an exponent. 5 to the third power. Okay, it's not 15. 5 to the third power is 5 times 5 times 5. And I'm going to go ahead and put this on a new page. So we've got 2 times 5 to the third power. 5 to the third power is 5 times itself 3 times. So we're going to take care of this first. 5 to the third power. 5 times 5 is 25. 25 times 5 is 125. And then we have times by 2. 2 times by 125 is 250. Okay, so when we figure out the answer if for this one, we get 250. Let's go ahead and look at number 2. Okay, for the next one, number 2, we have 8a minus b. Okay, so notice we have an 8 right next to an a. Anytime you have a number next to a variable in algebra, that is implied multiplication. So 8a, that is really the same as 8 times a. So we're going to evaluate this expression. We're going to figure out the answer if we let the a equal 2 and the b equal 3. I'm going to go ahead and write this one on another page so we have a little bit more room. So we have 8 times by a minus b when we let the a equal 2 and the b is 3. Okay, so we're going to figure out the answer to this if we let the a be 2. So let's go ahead and make a substitution there. So 8 times by, instead of the a, we're going to let that be a 2, minus, instead of the b, we're going to let that be a 3. So 8 times 2 is 16. 16 minus 3 is 13. 8a minus b when a equals 2 and b equals 3 is 13. Okay, let's go ahead and look at the next one. So for this one, number 3, we have 3m times by p plus 4. Anytime you have a parentheses next to either a number or a variable in algebra, that is also multiplication. So we would read this as 3 times by m times by p plus 4. Okay, so let's go ahead and put this one on another page as well. We have 3 times m times by p plus 4. And we're going to figure out the answer if m is 2 and p is 10. Okay, so let's make a substitution. Let's plug 2 in for the m and 10 in for the p, and then let's figure out the answer. So 3 times by m, so instead of the m, we're going to plug in 2, times by, in the parentheses, instead of the p, we have a 10 plus 4. Now remember, when we're evaluating, we always have to follow the order of operations. So we need to do what's in the parentheses first, okay? And then we're going to do our multiplications. So 10 plus 4 is 14. So now what we have is 3 times by 2 times by 14. And now we just work left to right because all we have left is multiplication. So 3 times 2 is 6. 6 times 14 is 84. So when we let the m equal 2 and the p equal 10, and we figure out the answer if, we get 84. Let's do one more together, and then I think you guys are ready for your quiz. Okay, 5a plus 3b minus 6c. So 5a, that is really 5 times a. Anytime you have a number right next to a variable, that's multiplication. So what we have here is 5 times a plus 3 times b minus 6 times by c. We're going to figure out the answer to this if the a is 5, the b is 0, and the c is 1. So let's go ahead and make a substitution. We have 5 times by, instead of the a, we're going to let that be 5, plus 3 times by, instead of the b, we're going to let that be 0, minus 6 times by, instead of the c, we're going to let that be 1. Now remember, when we follow order of operations, we have to do all 3 of these multiplications before we do the addition and subtraction. So here we go. 5 times 5 is 25. 3 times 0 is 0. 6 times 1 is 6. So now we have 25 plus 0 minus 6. We only have addition and subtraction left, so we're going to work left to right. 25 plus 0 is 25. 25 minus 6 is 19. Voila. Okay. So you guys are ready for your quiz. Remember to show all your work. Okay? So I want to see you make those substitutions, and then don't forget to follow order of operations. You will miss these if you do not follow the order of operations. So parentheses, exponents, then any divisions or multiplications, then any subtractions or additions. Remember, you're working left to right. Okay, so you do all of the additions and subtractions, all of the divisions and multiplications before you do any of the additions and subtractions. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get you started with number 2, just because I'm feeling really nice today. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started together with number 2. We have -3 times by y plus 6x minus 2. So remember, when you turn this quiz in, you're writing down each problem, you're showing me the work, and you're circling your answer. Okay, so -3 times by y plus 6 times by x minus 2. If the y is 3 and the x is 2. Okay, so we're going to take this variable expression. We are going to evaluate it. We're going to figure out the answer if the y is 3 and the x is 2. So here we go. -3 times by y. Okay, but instead of the y, we're going to let y equal 3. Okay, plus 6 times by x. But instead of the x, we're going to let the x be 2. And then minus 2. Okay. Then from there, we need to do this multiplication and this multiplication before we do the addition and subtraction. So -3 times 3 is -9. And then we have 6 times 2, which is 12. So now we have -9 plus 12 minus 2. Now, another thing that is super important, please, please, please use your calculators, okay? Don't miss this because you don't know how to add positive and negative numbers. Use your calculator. Get it out. Have it next to you every day in this class for every new lesson, okay? So here we go, -9. We're going to work left to right because we only have addition and subtraction left. So -9 plus 12 is 3. 3 minus 2 is 1. Okay, so for question number 2, your answer should be 1. Okay, you guys, that is a wrap. Okay, that is your lesson. From here, you need to finish your quiz. I only did number 2 with you, so you still need to do number 1 and number 3. Okay, so you need to finish your quiz. You need to upload it to the assignment box that's titled Evaluating Numerical and Variable Expressions. Okay, and once you do that, Ms. Kohler or I will grade your assignment. We'll give you some feedback. If you do your assignment correctly or your quiz correctly, you'll be ready to move on to the next lesson. If you do not do the quiz correctly, we are going to explain what you did wrong in your feedback. We are going to be available to help you in class during class time. Remember, class time is every day from, I'm going to actually write, remember, class time is every day from 9 to 10:30 a.m. And you guys have 2 teachers this year to be able to help you with your math. Okay, so if you got through this lesson and you're super confused and you're not quite sure how to evaluate expressions, numerical or variable expressions, talk to us in class. We can put you in a breakout room and we can tutor you individually, or we can put you in a small group. Okay, that's what we're here for. You guys are going to be watching the videos for the lessons, but for individual help, Ms. Kohler and I will be helping you with that during class time. Another option for you, something that we haven't talked about yet, and that is Math Lab. Okay, Math Lab is every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 3 to 5. Okay, so these are 2 times, 2 different times during the day that you can get help when you don't understand something. And Miss Kohler and I are super excited to help you. We want you to be successful with math this year. So if there's anything about this lesson that was confusing and you're not quite sure how to do your quiz, when you come to class tomorrow, please tell us that, okay? And we'll pull you into a breakout room and we'll help you work on some extra problems, or we can meet with you outside of that time too. So email us. You practice that for one of your first assignments. You can call us. Okay, you can talk to us in class, but we're here for you. We're on your team and we want you to be able to do this. So with that said, I am going to put the quiz back up so that you can finish your quiz, get it turned in the assignment box, and I will see you soon. Thanks, you guys.